All right, and here we go. So yeah, last week the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq hit record highs again. Tesla was surging 27%, Apple 7% last week, but then this week we have inflation data on Thursday and Friday, and earnings season is kicking off. Plus, we did have a new WTF trade this morning, and we are in 6 or 7 positions. Well, we'll take a look at this and show you what's happening there. And with that said, welcome to Coffee with Markus and Mark. And today is Monday, July 8th, and in this show, we are going to talk to you about what's happening in the markets and how we are trading it. And Mark, last week, up and away with the indices. It was a short week because markets were closed for 4th of July, but hey, the markets decided to just rally.
It was a rally week in spite of the holiday there. The S&P adding 2% last week. So just kind of carrying on, making new record highs. The Dow was up 0.7%. So the Dow is still kind of lagging behind the S&P and the Nasdaq. Nasdaq making new records as well, up 3.5%. Look at that. So
3.5%. I mean, mainly carried really by Tesla and Apple. Look at this last week. I mean, a weekly gain here of where were we last week? 27%. It's kind of insane.
huge, huge. You know, yes, Tesla can move, but I mean, gosh, it hasn't moved like this in a while here. I think there was one huge day back in January of 2023, but I mean, 27% is just a monster move in one week.
Yeah, and this morning, I mean, nice follow through, up 1.5%. Apple also having a great week last week. AAPL, the ticker symbol, last week up 7%. This morning, slightly down, but seems that also Apple wants to keep rallying. And then, I don't know, did you see Amazon? Amazon also making new all time highs.
Yeah, look at that. And that was one thing we noticed last week. It seemed as though the big guys, a lot of money going in there, driving those big names higher. And when you look at the heat map today, it's a little more distributed.
Yeah, so today a little bit all over the place. Google and Meta even down, Tesla up, Amazon just slightly down, Nvidia up, Microsoft and Apple down. Yeah, today, I mean, so far, it seems to be a diddle day.
Yeah, it looked like there was a little more green early on, and banks were looking a little bit better, which is interesting because we have a big week, and Friday could be an interesting day for banks.
Yeah. I mean, let's take a look at the economic calendar, and there's a lot going on. Not much today, but then tomorrow we have Powell testifying, and he's testifying twice this week. Once it is in front of the Senate, and the other one in front of the banking committee. So this will be interesting because last week the jobs report came in worse than expected. So if you're going back to the previous week and we look at the jobs report, unemployment ticking up from previously 4.0, expected 4.0 to 4.1. Average hourly earnings dipping at the same time. So, I mean, this is where he will be asked, okay, what does he think about this? Is the labor market softening? So this is definitely something tomorrow and on Wednesday to keep an eye on.
Exactly. So this is his semi-annual testimony before the Senate Banking Committee, and this would be on Tuesday, followed up by the House on Wednesday. And his testimony comes in two parts. So there's a prepared statement. This gets posted on the Fed's website, but then the committee gets to hold a Q&A period. And that's where you could take some heat, and sometimes it gets a little interesting.
Yeah. Both of these are starting 30 minutes after the markets are open and usually last around 45 to 60 minutes, depending on how many questions there are. So during this time, we might see some volatility. And then later this week, on Thursday and Friday, we also have inflation data. Again, we have the CPI and the core CPI, as well as the PPI and the core PPI on Friday, and the CPI is on Thursday.
Yeah, so two big days. CPI, always the the report that's a little more in the spotlight in a major report. The core PCI number expected to come in at 0.2%, an increase of 0.2%, which is the same as we had previously. CPI expected to come in a tick higher, but year over year expected to drop. So 3.1%. If that's the case, or even better, that could really help this two-cut probability that Fed funds futures are pointing at right now.
Yeah, and talking about Fed funds futures here, now the probability for a rate cut in September after the worse than expected jobs report went up to 77%. So, I mean, that is the highest that we have seen, I think, for several months right now.
Yeah, so investors betting on a cut in September, and still a little bit, well, for November, expected that it will be the same, especially if there's a cut in September, but then that December probability starts to creep up.
Yeah, in the beginning of the year, the Fed said we will do 3 cuts. Then at the last meeting, they said, no, we're down to 1 cut. I think Fed funds traders were factoring in 2 cuts pretty much for most of the year.
Yep. So we'll see if it's 1 or 2, but right now traders are betting on 2.
Yeah. And then earnings season is kicking off this week. So on Friday, actually on Thursday, Pepsi and Delta are kicking it off. Then on Friday, we have financials, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of New York. So all of these are kicking off earnings season. It'll be a slow start, and we'll see here. We talked about it this morning. That earnings season really is kicking in the third week, so around third week of July here. But yeah, I mean, this will be interesting, especially since JP Diamond always Jamie Dimon, not JP Diamond, Jamie Dimon always has some things to say what he believes is happening with the economy and what the Fed should do.
Yes. So Thursday, Friday, some big names reporting. Friday with big banks is always the unofficial kickoff of earnings season. And like you pointed out, it's going to be a busy month.
It will be a busy month. All right. What else? Well, let's take a look at our positions. So WTF positions. First of all, AstraZeneca. We both skipped this one, but this is doing pretty well. The entry 76.67 right now trading at 77.36. We both skipped this one, so no gain for us here.
No, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So anybody who took the signal, good for you. Looking pretty good.
Yeah. DHR, I mean, bouncing off the 200-day moving average, we entered at 240.91 right now, slightly down here. This morning we were trading at our entry price, right now down 0.16% for the day, which is basically in line with the indices and overall diddling here. Nothing happening. We're still in this position. Disney, on the other hand, I mean, also this morning at first higher, now moving a little bit lower, and the dividend.
The dividend. Yeah, nice little dividend there. So Disney going ex-dividend today, and shareholders on record at the open are entitled to that dividend, which would include us. The dividend of 45 cents gets deposited in our account on July 25th. And it was really nice early on because we quickly made up for that drop. Typically, a stock will drop by that X or the dividend amount since that money's coming out of the company. But now Disney down a little bit today.
Yeah. All right, next up on the list, Merck. This is another one that we took. And Merck, I mean, a little bit all over the place. I mean, the day we took it, it started rallying and moved up to around 129. Then started to pull back towards our entry, was trading at our entry price. This morning, opening higher, pushing towards 128. Right now, slightly down again, still above our entry price. And we'll see when we have an exit here.
Yeah, I mean, come on. It had a great day right when we entered the trade, and now just chopping around, trying to find some direction. ready for one more push higher.
Yeah. Moderna, this is a stock that you took. I skipped this one. And again, hovering right slightly below your entry price, 129.90, and right now trading at 117.30. You did an add to this when it was dropping around 5%. So you should be making money on the position where you added in and probably losing a little bit on the original position. Are you overall slightly up or slightly down?
Exactly. I am up just a tiny bit.
Yeah. So not much to do here as well. PCAR, I mean, PCAR last week looked pretty ugly. I mean, trading below the 200-day moving average. This morning, opening higher, still trading higher, 0.5%, but below our entry price here. So we need this to push higher above the 200-day moving average, but nothing for us to do just now.
Let's go.
All right. RTX, what do you think about RTX?
RTX, another one just kind of hanging out there, but nice to see that it's up for today.
Yeah. So Enterprise 101.47 right now trading at 187. So slightly down here. Not a whole lot to do. And then we had a new signal. TTWO, Take Two Interactive Software. What do you think about this one?
I liked it, and well, we both traded it, and we're both filled at 151.84. So pulled back a little bit, but now trading above the open, and small profit on this one so far.
Yeah. So this is looking good. Now hopping over to the wheel. Oops, excuse me. I'm a little bit under the weather. CSIQ. Wow, look at this. Up 1.5% today. CSIQ really bounced off nicely the 14. We flew another partial rescue mission, lowering our cost basis in the lower 20s. And I'm liking it. I mean, right now, CSIQ, come on, it's time to go back up towards 21 and then beyond.
Yeah, I think that this was most likely the last dip in CSIQ. But if you look at SEDG, Marcus, I think that this just kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been expecting. And this is where Bank of America gave SEDG an upgrade, and right now it's up 11-12%. So since we are now at attractive levels for investors to come in, and because it does look like the interest rate situation is more likely to change in the next 6 months rather than get worse or stay the same. I think that just makes these type of companies attractive.
Definitely. Oops. Next, Halliburton. Halliburton just hanging in there. We got assigned at 34.50 this morning. We are slightly up 0.2%. We're planning to sell calls against our existing position at 34.50. Then you were planning to sell calls against the position at 36, me at 36.50. Right now, nothing to do. Really interesting today. Crude oil is lower today. And I thought that with the hurricane going on in the Gulf Coast that it would be higher, but we see that today slightly lower here, down 0.5%.
Yeah, I think that this is kind of a buy the news, sell the fact type situation, and what you often see with hurricanes, where there's that uncertainty and this increase because of the uncertainty. You just don't know how bad it's going to be. But then at some point, when you start to see the numbers, it might not be as bad as it initially was expected. The hurricane came through as a cat or approached land in the U.S. as a Cat 1 storm and 80-mile-per-hour winds. There were a bunch of flights canceled, power outages, and some flooding. So it's definitely a rough one, but maybe not as bad as some investors thought it could have been.
It seems so. And then we also finally here have UPS. And UPS just diddling along there in this range. We have been talking about this for a long time. The range of 140 right here and then 134 on the lower end. Right now trading at 136. So UPS, time for you to move higher.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Okay.
Yippee-ki-yay. It's ready to break to the upside.
Yeah. I mean, overall today, I mean, the VIX is still at super low levels. The VIX, the fear index, trading below 13 right now at 12.5, unchanged to Friday. So this just shows right now fear has left the building. Markets are making new all-time highs. And in a moment, we'll jump over and see what is happening in the markets right now. And it is time for our joke contest. So, what do you have for us today? What is the joke of today?
It's a little bit business related, Marcus.
All right.
And where do polar bears keep their money?
I don't know, in the
In a
ice bank.
snow bank.
Okay.
No bank.
All right. I think I got you today. This is an ant, right?
Sure.
So if this is an ant, what is this?
A bigger ant?
A tolerant.
Oh,
Come on. That's a good one. A tolerant. Okay. Anyhow, so let's hop over and see what we are doing here on the 5-minute chart. And by the way, voting is open right now. Let us know in the comments which one was the better joke, the snowbank or the tolerant. So here we are, opening higher this morning, pushing higher right now. Yeah, just diddling along. I mean, Dow up 0.3%, S&P up 0.1%, Nasdaq up 0.18%. So kind of waiting what Powell has to say tomorrow. This is what it seems like.
This is the textbook definition of a diddle day. And I don't think we're going to get a whole lot until tomorrow or some of the reports this week.
Yeah, I think tomorrow morning we'll have some fireworks when Powell starts speaking, and then also during the Q&A.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you found this helpful, give us a like. Really appreciate all of your likes. If you think that others might benefit from it, there's a share button right underneath. Please feel free to share it. And if this is your first time here, click on subscribe, because then you'll see a little notification popping up when we go live again, which will be tomorrow morning. And tomorrow will be interesting because Powell is speaking with a prepared comment and then Q&A. And by the time we're starting the show, there will be already a reaction in the market, and you don't want to miss it. Until then, have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.